I'm Susan, partner on the distro team at 500 Startups, and today we're going to continue our little chat about email marketing. Today, specifically going over my golden rules of email marketing for startups. So, here again, I want to add a little disclaimer that this is typically 500 Startups internal material, meaning that the golden rules and other tips that I'm about to share with you are learnings that I've compiled from working with hundreds of companies within our portfolio and outside of it. And they're things that I typically only share, at this point, I only share with 500 portfolio companies. So, with that, I'm going to ask you to please pay close attention because there's a lot of stuff in here and I'm going to need to go over it pretty fast. Okay, first a quick intro to my background. You can reach me by email at susan@500.co. On Twitter, my handle is susanfsue, and DistroSnack is my daily or almost daily email of one growth tip plus one animated GIF, highly rated by all of the coolest people that I know. So check that out. It's a lot of fun. And a little bit more about me. I've honed my email and content marketing skills with Ramit Sethi of I will teach you to be rich.com at a research and media startup called Inside Network, which got acquired in 2011, and later at AppSumo, where I ran our daily deal emails to a list of 700,000 subscribers, and currently for the past couple of years at 500 Startups, advising our portfolio and accelerator companies on various aspects of growth, but specifically email marketing and content. I'm also the creator of the Ultimate Email Playbook, which is 43 scripts that you can copy directly and specifically tailored for startups. It's a compilation of optimized emails for everything from your welcome campaigns to reactivation emails to investors. And it's based off of actual emails that I've sent and changed that have gotten amazing results for the companies that have used them. It's essentially my book of shortcuts that I've put together after working with those hundreds of startups, and you can check that out at emailforstartups.com/ultimate-email-playbook. Okay, and with that, if you've seen my other webinar, you've seen this slide already, but I think it's worth going over why email is so important, just really quickly. I love email, and when I say that I love email, what I really mean is that I love the ROI that you get from email. Email is still, we're definitely not in the post-email age. It's still the most effective and highest ROI way to communicate with your leads, your customers, any kind of audience, any kind of size, and get people to complete an action. Email is the foundation of all other channels, and there are currently 4 billion email accounts around the world, 1/4 of which are B2B accounts or work accounts. So it's still the most effective way to reach people for work purposes, for B2B sales purposes. Email is your owned channel. It's not rented, so there's no ad platform intermediary. You own those contacts. You can use any platform you want to send through your email marketing. It's totally up to you. And the best part of all, well, maybe it's not the best part of all, but one really great thing about email is that it is highly trackable. Everything from one-to-one emails through Tout app or through Sidekick, all the way up to one-to-many newsletters or one-to-many drip campaigns. You can track all of the key actions and conversion funnel through your emails. Okay, so the rest of this talk, I'm going to go over what I call my golden rules of email marketing. And let's just jump right in. The first golden rule of email marketing is by far the most important. And while it seems obvious, let's just go over it in a little bit more detail. So, without an email list, you can't do any selling, whether well or poorly. A lot of founders come up to me and say, but how do I get more emails? So there are tons of great ways to data scrape for email addresses, which I won't get into here. That's a whole separate webinar, but can refer you to some great resources. If you check on Udemy, my colleague Matt Ellsworth has actually recorded a really great series of webinars on data scraping for B2B sales that you should check out. Just search Matt Ellsworth data scraping web on Udemy. And aside from that, the best way to get highly qualified subscribers that is the segment of subscribers who will actually open your emails, click, convert, or reply, is to collect them from your own properties, right when people are most interested and their intent is highest. So, for those of you listening to this webinar right now, just ask yourselves, how many of you are collecting emails in one place? How about in multiple places? How many of you are using exit intent? The point is, I hear a lot of people complain, but I don't have an email list. Now, that can change starting immediately after this talk, or maybe during if you're a multitasker. If you have any traffic remotely whatsoever, or even are on other sites that have traffic, you should have emails. You should be collecting emails. If you don't, it's simply because your receptors aren't open. So again, always be collecting. Make sure your collectors are persistent across your site. Use content-specific, offer-specific collectors across all of your content marketing that you do. Don't forget to embrace pop-ups. They really work, and there are a lot of different implementations of them now that you can play around with, timed with exit intent, timed with the type of content, matching the type of content that people are reading. You can have a bar that drops down. You can have a little pop-up that pops up from the bottom corner. There are a lot of iterations. Always make sure that you've got an email collector on every staff, especially for startups. It's really important because you email a lot of people from your just from your work email account. So make sure you have a collector in the email signature in any place that gets any visibility. Paid acquisition campaigns can be really effective if you promote a specific offer, and to kick in the offer, an email registration is required or email entry is required. That's something we did really well at AppSumo. We would advertise some of our most exciting offers like PictoChart, and then in order to unlock the offer or to kick it in, you had to put in your email address. But the great thing is, it's not just the email address that we collected right then wasn't just worth that one PictoChart purchase. We could sell to that email address holder over and over again relevant offers in the future. Offline can be great. Here at 500, we've collected a lot of email addresses to the tune of mid-five figures through our events and offline activities. And then the LinkedIn trick, which I think more and more people kind of know now what the LinkedIn trick is. The LinkedIn trick allows you, so basically LinkedIn treats your contacts as your contacts. LinkedIn doesn't necessarily own them. So if you go to your, I believe it's under advanced settings, or the last I checked it was under advanced settings, you can go ahead and export all your LinkedIn contacts, whether that's 300 of them, 100 of them, or 5,000 of them. No matter what, these people are highly targeted and super interested in what you're doing for your work. The way I recommend handling the LinkedIn trick is never, ever, ever to blast or spam those people because they are VIP close network contacts, but just to send a friendly email that says, hey everybody, it was really great to meet you at that conference, or we know each other from blah, blah, blah from work, and I thought you might be interested in what I'm up to. I'm currently I'm a founder at this startup. If you're curious, here's the link where you can check it out or opt into my email list. Otherwise, see you later. Just a one-time little reminder and offer for them to join your email list. Okay, so the second golden rule of email marketing is a huge marketing unsecret that somehow repels startup founders and starving artists alike. And it is this: repetition is key. It takes multiple tries to activate, sell, or otherwise engage your subscribers. So research shows that most people only open every other email from you, even if they're a fan and a fully engaged subscriber. So it's not only okay, but actually critical that you repeat your calls to action and even your campaigns in order to get results. Don't agonize over inventing and reinventing the email marketing wheel. Instead, just repurpose and repeat your most optimized CTAs and campaigns. So here on this slide, I'm showing you an email that I received from a content business asking me to contribute content. It was just a small thing and something that was actually interesting to me. But just because of the volume of email that I get, the volume of requests that I get throughout the day, I, for some reason, clicked away and lost track. and I didn't reply. Here in the second email, the sender didn't really say anything different, just a slight and a little bit shorter variation on her original message. It didn't require any genius copywriting skills or major psychological hacks or weeks of A/B testing to come up with it. Yet it worked immediately, simply because of repetition. Here I've got one of my favorite quotes of all time from a founder that I worked with a couple of months ago. She came up to me at an event we were both at to tell me, I just wanted to say thank you so much for telling us to email our cold leads up to 5 times. You were right. People started responding only on the 3rd or the 4th email, and they responded apologizing for not getting back to us sooner, saying they were on vacation and whatnot, and we ended up closing 30 demos last week. These were the 3 sweetest words to my ears. You were right, because I knew I was right. Aside from my own satisfaction, isn't it great to see that the simple strategy, if you can call it that, of repetition can yield such astounding results? Now, by the way, closing 30 demos last week for this company was, sorry, I'm not good at calculating percentages, but they went from closing about 1 to 2 demos to 30, thanks to the repetition strategy of B2B email marketing. So, as a reminder, be persistent. Don't be afraid to repeat. My next golden rule is about your email subject line, which already tends to get a lot of limelight in email marketing, but I have a few different points to make here. Yes, your subject line is extremely important, but not just because of the reasons that you think. So your subject line is really important for getting your recipient to open your email, but your subject line also sets up the mindset for how recipients view the entire rest of your email. That one subject line sets up open rates for subsequent subject lines as well, thus affecting all of your downstream email marketing. Now, before we get into specifics for how to make an irresistible subject line, I need to share a little warning. As tempting and seemingly effective as certain hot trigger words can be, please beware of items like free money now, all caps. Beware of terms like free money now in all caps. With terms like this, and especially in all caps, you will increase your chances of getting flagged as spam, and that is a whole separate webinar, how to get out of that. Remember, subject line optimization is just like conversion optimization. The subject line itself is a funnel, so think about the words and even the letters in your subject line, each word as a stage in the funnel, trying to get people to read the next word, and then finally to open the email, and then finally to read the first sentence, and then the second sentence, and then the call to action. You want to use action words, but you want to be careful of those spammy trigger words. And you want to think about it not as one huge wall that your recipient has to jump over right away, but as a step-by-step funnelized handoff. Okay, and with that, the next golden rule is related to this issue of spamminess. So deliverability, of course, is extremely important. It's a given. And not just on this or that campaign that you have in front of you right now, or today, but on the strength and integrity of your list and all of your future email marketing efforts. So this golden rule number 3 is about testing your deliverability. You can use Mail Tester or Sender Score, which is a little more complex with more info, while Mail Tester is pretty quick and dirty if you want something simpler, but both work fine. You'll get a reputation rating score on a scale of 1 to 10 for Mail Tester and 1 to 100 for Sender Score. If you're not in the 90th percentile of each of these, you need to get off some of those blacklists and improve your deliverability immediately. You can look up the blacklists you might be on for example, at senderscore.org/blacklist-lookup, and contact them to prove that you're legitimate and not a spammer, and then nicely ask them if they can please update the list and remove you. Yes, it's manual, and yes, it is worth it. So again, go to senderscore.org/blacklist-lookup and roll up your sleeves and get off those blacklists if you're on any. Okay, also, always make sure you enable domain keys. Just Google for instructions for how to enable domain keys for your specific email marketing provider, because this can improve your deliverability and open rates by as little as 3% up to 10%, depending on what your particular situation is. It's a best practice that is pretty simple to set up and improves your deliverability pretty dramatically. Finally, sending email marketing at a regular frequency and at a regular volume, meaning the number of emails you're sending out in total, is really important and contributes to your reputation rating as well. The number 4 golden rule of email marketing is about targeting and segmentation. Now, once again, like so many things we know but don't do, targeting and segmentation are the most obvious things under the sun, right? And yet, many early businesses are so busy with the basics of growth and product that segmentation starts to feel like an advanced tactic, which it's not. Here are some simple ways you can segment your lists and do better campaign targeting right now. So you can do segmentation based on acquisition channel, that is, where did that subscriber come from? Based on previous behavior, such as an open of a previous campaign, a click, or a buy. Based on events outside of email, for example, where did they come, not only the acquisition channel, but what other actions they took outside of email, perhaps on your website. And finally, based on simple, easy win demographics such as gender or geography, for example. Now, here I've included a little screenshot of an example from TripAdvisor that did segmentation based on an event outside of email. I had been browsing some lists or hotels or something in Darwin, Australia. And here they are sending me email marketing because they were tracking that I was taking those actions outside of email on their event, and they sent me these very, very targeted, segmented email marketing follow-ups related to Darwin. Now, because I had just been looking at Darwin-related information on their site, this was extremely relevant to me, and I did end up opening these emails, going back to the site. It was really effective email remarketing. Okay, so the next golden rule is my little ode to analytics. Now, by now you should know about track everything syndrome. Track everything syndrome is a common ailment that hits startup founders and inexperienced marketers alike. And when you're afflicted, what happens is you get caught up in the sexiness of all the data that you could be collecting. I know, you're a nerd when data is irresistibly hot, but it can be really distracting. And you don't discern between the data that's actionable to your business and all of the rest of the stuff. So here's a sampling of what you could be tracking. Open rate and absolute opens, click rate and absolute clicks, conversions, however you define a conversion, probably a purchase, but could be something else, new subscribers, additional subscribers, unsubscribes, and replies, which are my favorite because they're a great show of engagement. Now, some email campaigns get open rates of over 100%, meaning recipients are opening those campaigns repeatedly or perhaps forwarding them onto others. But the standard open rate across the board is just below 25%. Now, that's very general because it really depends on what your particular business is and how you did your acquisition for those subscribers. But the main takeaway is that no one's going to open every single email from you. Maybe not even I don't think my mom opens all the emails that I send her personally because I've been tracking them. So as I previously mentioned, research has shown that even your most engaged subscribers only tend to open every other email simply due to volume issues. And this means you need to plan, schedule, and design accordingly, and don't be afraid to reiterate and repeat. And these are some of the takeaways that data can show you. So if somebody has not opened an email, then you can probably resend them that same offer, that same campaign again. Um, if they haven't opened it but they are still an engaged subscriber, don't be afraid to repeat. Now, that said, open rate is your gateway, but it's not the only important metric. Replies, as I mentioned, are a really important leading indicator to me. And ultimately, when it comes to metrics, it's up to you to measure what matters. It's up to you to focus on what's actually critical to you, campaign by campaign. The next golden rule of email marketing is all about testing. Another deceptively sexy topic, and I will tell you why. So, if you're a business with significant traction and a reasonably engaged 5-figure email list, please test all things. If you have 300 subscribers and are perhaps still working on product market fit, just go ahead and throw the spaghetti against the wall and keep at it. And don't get bogged down with minutia of testing. So multivariate or A/B testing on email marketing is not appropriate at all levels and actually takes a lot of time and real expertise to execute properly. On the other hand, you can still test things, quote unquote, test things the non-scientific way by making incremental changes and seeing if you get roughly better results. And this can still be really helpful and probably a lot more time saving in the long run if you're an early stage business. So here are a few things you can test, whether you're running a true multivariate test or just experimenting with basic improvements. Your subject line, you can play around with the copy, with its length, with the type of emotion, whether it's positive or negative, that it evokes. You can test your call to action, your CTA, its language, its size, if you're doing a button, how large that button is, its color, and its commitment level, which low commitment level would be something like learn more. High commitment level would be something like buy the annual subscription now. You can test your content's layout and its length. You can test the inclusion of prices within email marketing or not. You can test simple campaigns versus complex campaigns with a lot of stuff going on inside of them. Normally, I tend to prefer simple to break out the different pieces of the funnel. I would rather send somebody to a landing page to present more information. But again, it can vary based on your email list and the type of subscribers that you have and the type of offer that you're presenting. Number 7, you can test more versus fewer choices action choices within the email. You can, of course, test your send time and your send day of the week. You can test personalization, and not just first name personalization, but this extends to company name personalization, what if you have information about what their workplace is, to geo personalization, to psychographic personalization, if you know what type of person they are, even to the brand affinity personalization. If you know, for example, they really like, let's say, Whole Foods. Even if you're not Whole Foods, you can test personalization through that type of psychographic. And finally, you can test the from name that you're sending from. And I've found this one to be really effective. A from name that's a company name is usually, because it feels like marketing, obviously. It usually triggers ignoring and general banner blindness a lot more easily than if the from name is somebody's personal name or appears to be somebody's personal email address. So again, there are a lot of different things you can test within your email within every single email campaign, and testing does not have to be super scientific. If you're early stage, just try and see if you get better results than before and move on and continue to make those iterative improvements. All right, so my 6th golden rule of email marketing is that content really matters. Content matters, and it matters a lot. So here is what all I mean by content. Your subject line is content. Your preview text is content. I actually do see businesses that forget to edit the default preview text, or they don't add preview text, or they have preview text that is the same as their subject line. Now, your preview text is super critical because it is basically like a secondary subject line for free. It's free real estate. It's advertising space. So once you've used up the space in your subject line, don't forget that the preview text is another opportunity to squeeze in a few really enticing hot words in there to help your subscriber open that email. Other content includes images. Now, whether you include images or not is a separate question. But you can, if you do include images, you can test the type of image. If you don't include, well, you can test whether to include images or not, period. Another type of content that really matters is, of course, the body content, because that's what's preparing your subscriber to complete the call to action. Now, that brings me to the CTA itself. Your email should always have a CTA. If your email doesn't have a CTA, then you have no business sending that email. So people's time is really valuable. People's time is really precious. That includes your subscribers. And if you're just sending them kind of an empty email with no follow-up, with no call to action, with no purpose for being, then you're basically just wasting their time. So every email should have a CTA. And my personal rule is that one email gets one CTA rather than one email with multiple CTAs inside there. Finally, I really like to include content reminding people who I am and what I do. It can be something as brief as a little line in the footer, or it could be half a sentence within somewhere in the body of the email. But the point here is that don't expect your subscribers to always remember what your whimsical brand name represents, or what your product does, or what its value is to them. So the seventh golden rule of email marketing has to do with a little thing we call the mobile device. Now, 65%, actually over 65% of emails are open on mobile first. So if you're seeing, for example, if you're seeing a high open rate on an email but a low click-through rate, keep in mind that people are a lot less likely to take action from their phone. So you can just segment those opens out and send a targeted follow-up. Now, related to the mobile first golden rule, always test on mobile. The easiest way to test on mobile, well, I always check the layout within I always make sure it's mobile optimized before I send the campaign, but the easiest way to test on mobile is to send the email to yourself and check it on your mobile device before anywhere else, so that you really replicate that subscriber experience for yourself. You want to make sure that you default to responsive layout. That's pretty standard these days, but I think it's worth calling out. And when I say responsive layout, I do mean responsive layout throughout the entire funnel. So not just within that single email itself, but also if there's an action, whatever your call to action is, that if the call to action is to click away from the email and onto a landing page, you want to make sure that that landing page is also responsive and optimized for the mobile experience. Now, because so many emails are opened on mobile first and sometimes mobile only, content brevity is really important. I prefer to create very short paragraphs, so usually only one sentence per paragraph and then a paragraph break in between. So even if some of your email campaigns are getting opened on desktop, the fact is most of them are going to get opened on mobile first, and so that's kind of what I write to. That's what I create my content to nowadays. And this affects the image as well. You also want to make sure that your subject, preview, and sender name are all mobile optimized. And again, you can just do this by testing it for yourself on mobile. This varies a little bit based on iOS versus Android devices, how many characters you get. And the best way is just to test that, but it's definitely a lot less than you get on email providers on desktop. And again, if you're seeing a high open rate but a low click rate, it could mean that a lot of your engaged subscribers are opening on mobile. And although this is changing more and more, thanks to all of the cool apps that there are nowadays, people are still less likely to click or take action from emails that they read on their devices. And this is due to a whole bunch of factors that you can probably guess and relate to. Now, you can improve your chances by making your entire flow mobile optimized from campaign to action to landing page, and also by making sure you deep link whenever you have a call to action within your emails, that you deep link, because, just knowing that they're probably going to be on mobile, make sure that they don't have to click around a whole bunch of times after they click through on your call to action. And then finally, you can do retargeting either by a targeted email follow-up, as I mentioned before, or through paid retargeting campaigns just to the people who opened but didn't take action. Now I'm going to share with you a few next level email marketing tips and tricks. The first one has to do with getting past promotions tab, which is a common issue for all email marketers and all businesses, actually. So as I mentioned in the last golden rule, most people are opening emails first on their mobile, which is really great because by default, most mail apps don't have a promotions filter. It's still one uniform inbox, which is a huge win if you're sending email marketing. So be sure to leverage mobile. The next tip to get past promotions tab is to, and when I say leverage mobile, by the way, I mean making sure your campaigns are mobile optimized. And if you're collecting other mobile related information, or if you have an app, you can actually use phone numbers like for SMS or for or push notifications on the app to kind of do complementary remarketing for your email campaigns at the same time as you send them. So just make sure that the entire conversion experience is contained on mobile. You can also include a thank you page reminder. So after somebody subscribes to your list or otherwise opts into your list, you normally would show them a thank you page. And right there on that thank you page, thanks for signing up, that's a great place to include just a simple reminder that says, hey, make sure you add us to your main inbox, otherwise you're going to miss all the cool stuff that you just signed up to get. And in order to do that, just drag us on over to the main inbox. And thirdly, this thank you page trick that I've seen a couple of really good internet marketers using recently that I love is you can include a direct link to your the search result of your welcome email or your confirmation email. And so here I have an example of that. So you can see from this URL that it's taking them to their, and by the way, this only works for Gmail, sorry, but it's still pretty effective because it'll still be applicable to a lot of your recipients. So this link that you would include right on your thank you page with a little preface that says, click here to go directly to our confirmation email and make sure you don't miss any emails from us. And the click here goes to a search result in their Gmail, in their main user equals 0 main Gmail inbox. And the search query is your email address, sender@senderdomain.com. Fill that out as appropriate, plus the keywords of your subject line. So in this one, in this example, I had just put sender@senderdomain.com plus response required plus confirm your request. So that's just telling me that the sender name is sender@senderdomain.com and the subject line is response required, confirm your request. So this is my little thank you page trick, just to include a little reminder and that direct link. It's kind of like a deep link where they can click through and go straight to your straight to a search result that turns up your exact confirmation email, and then they can confirm it right then and there and help to make sure your deliverability is a lot better than it would otherwise be. My next few tips have to do with pre-targeting and retargeting for email marketing. Now, you can do pre-targeting before your key campaigns. So for example, if you know you have a really important campaign coming up, whether that's to a big push to announce some kind of sale or a launch, then you can actually do some, because you have people's email addresses, you can use custom audiences on Facebook or Twitter to do retargeting before you launch that campaign so that you increase people's awareness of your brand and kind of get them thinking about you before that campaign goes out. You can do retargeting, of course, after key campaigns, so after you've sent it out, and especially if you know that you can do it to all of your subscribers, or you can retarget just the unopens, or you can retarget just the opens. It depends on what you're looking to do. So I actually really like doing retargeting after campaigns to the people who've opened but haven't taken action, because you know that they're already, pretty warmed up as leads go, and maybe they just need a little extra reminder, a little extra encouragement to take action and convert. And then in terms of retargeting unopens, well, that's just a really great reminder to people in case they just happened to miss your email or didn't see it because it was in promotions inbox, to go back and look for that offer in their inbox and maybe give it a second shot. And finally, my next level tip is all about copywriting. So I just want to take a little moment here to talk about copywriting. Copywriting to me is a baseline skill for all good marketing and all good growth marketing. So as much as we like to emphasize quantitative based skills for growth marketing, at the end of the day, copywriting and clairvoyantly understanding your customers is kind of like a default core skill to that precedes all of that. And it's especially important for email marketing, which is still primarily based on writing and sending content to people. Now, the only thing about that is that copywriting is really complex, and I'm going to have to table that for the next webinar. All right, so thank you so much for being with me today and listening and learning about the golden rules of email marketing for startups. If you want to learn more about email marketing from my standpoint, you can check out emailforstartups.com/ultimate-email-playbook, which is a project and a book of scripts that I created after helping hundreds of startups with the same email marketing problems that you probably have. And I was starting to get tired of saying the same things over and over again. So if you're interested in my best shortcuts, check that out there. Otherwise, talk to me on Twitter @SusanFSue. Thanks again for watching, and see you later.